Welcome, Tarnished. So, that DLC trailer, right? Shadow of the Erdtree. Finally coming out. It's real. It exists, guys. It's real. The art direction, phenomenal. The voice acting, phenomenal. I'm sure the lore nerds will have a lot of fun with this one. You know, the opening scene we see with the Tarnished riding torrent across the damp, dark lands with gravestones in the fields, you know, overlooking this decayed ruin of what I can just assume is part of this kingdom that we're going to be in, or this area. My thoughts real quick is where we're going. We're going into, I don't know anything about the lore or anything too much, but I think we're going into like a nightmare of sorts. I would think. I'm going to guess we're going to walk up and grab old Miquella's hand there and get teleported into the DLC. I thought that whenever I first beat Moog and I saw that there, I'm like, they're going to do something with this. It'd be almost ridiculous not to, right? So a few things I want to go over here in the video. First off, we're going to talk about, I would say, the armor, right? So we have some different armors here and there, different weapons we have, but it really does seem like we're getting more fashionable choices in outfits. Now, I know that's subjective, but I really think Elden Ring doesn't have the best fashion souls, if you want to say it that way. A lot of their sets don't add up in color palette or different, they're just different types of gray that don't match up. That wasn't really ever an issue in the previous Souls games, or even in Bloodborne. I never had a problem with that, which I think gets the armor sets in general cool. They just don't mix and match well. I guess we have a Deathblight Swamp, or a Madness Swamp. I'm gonna hope it's Madness. Well, maybe Deathblight? I'm not quite sure what I want. To be honest, save for Miyazaki's feet fetish, which we'll get into in a second, in this DLC, he just has a thing for swamps, and it's a love-hate relationship with the player base, I think. I'm not gonna dig too into the trailer with like matching things up to specifics that happened earlier in the trailer or later in the trailer. But we do have some Berserk style enemies like the Wicker Man here. This leech thing, which is really kind of crazy. And then this really weird like boss that I just don't even know what to make of it. It reminds me of like the worm face that you fight in a way, but I know it has nothing to do with that. But we'll see what's going on with that there. The main baddie of the DLC, Mesmer the Impaler, it seems like he's using Chaos Fire, like from Dark Souls 3. I know it's not going to be called that, and I wouldn't be surprised it was Blood Flame, because I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised. However, his outfit reminds me a lot of Grumbeld from Berserk, and I really think the spell that he has is cool, and his weapon looks really sick. So I'm going to guess that we're going to either be able to get a spell that he has or a weapon. This might be a new magic type. They talked about new weapon classes and stuff like that, but they didn't mention anything about spells. But you know, spells could be considered a class of its own, so we might get some new spells. These weapons here, these dual curved swords that had this dash attack, is sick, and these throwing knives are awesome too. The only thing I have a problem with the throwing knives is I hope that they have some sort of tracking and they're not like the bow, because the projectiles don't look that fast, and if it's like the bow, it's going to be relatively useless. And I don't just strictly mean in PvP, because in PvE, enemies besides the fodder enemies will just dodge out of your way when you throw something at them. They're just programmed to. That's just how they are. So it would be really useless if that's the case. And I hope they don't function like bows, because bows kind of suck. And I wish that wasn't the case. You have this new spell here, which it does lead me into thinking that we're going to have some sort of sleep incantations, because that was an incantation they were using. You could see in the hand of the character there that they're using a seal. I don't know if we're going to get more St. Trina incantations or anything like that. That would be really cool. There's this thing here. Talk about Miyazaki's foot fetish. This guy's not wearing anything on his hands. I've watched this video over and over again. He's not wearing anything on his hands, so it looks like he has some kind of feet weapon, right? And I think that could be the case. You know, I really do think that this is a really cool style of weapon to go in and drop kick somebody. You know, it reminds me of Dark Souls 2 Cestus, and it's like, it's really, really, really cool. I'm excited to try it out. I mean, if it's dexterity or whatever, imagine being able to put infusions on it, you know, having fire kicks. You can literally make a Captain Falcon build, which is, I am not against trying. I would love to do that. Just knee or kick somebody in the face. I am so sold for that. I don't think this throwable is a new weapon type. I know people are saying it is, but I don't think so. I think this is an Ashavor of a weapon that we already have. We're going to pull out a bomb and throw it, or this is a new consumable, or we're going to get the luxury to pick things up in the world, you know, interact to pick up certain objects, which, I mean, would be neat to be able to pick up just a pot laying there and throwing it at somebody. Consider it's a giant pot and it explodes. I'm going to guess it's some greater fire bomb or something like that, because that's what it seems like it is. But the thing I care the most about in this whole thing, save for my concerns, would be this guy right here. This Black Knight looks badass, dude. And you can just feel the Berserk inspiration from this. He has an automatic crossbow. He has a cape. He has a big sword on his back. It seems like a big claymore. He's all covered in, clad in black. We have the Night Cavalry set. I mean, there's so many Berserk references in this trailer. I'm sure somebody who is way into it than I am could probably pick it out, but we have quite a bit. I'm really excited to wear that armor. I'm probably gonna end up making like a Black Iron Tarkus character, you know? That'd be kind of cool. It seems like we have like these bear heads, so I'm wondering if we're gonna get like Rune Beast shouts, like that might be like bestial incantations, but how we have the dragon shouts now, or the dragon incantations, is I can see this being like more bestial like stuff, like a bestial roar incantation of some sort, right? This is interesting here. We have just a field here where it's pretty. I mean, the color palette's amazing. Like, their level design is always super freaking good, man. Their art direction's always amazing. But these weapons here seem like dancer swords of some sort. They remind me of the dancer swords from Dark Souls 3. I mean, you have some flowing move set, you know, so I wonder what that's going to be like. The armor is really cool looking, though. And then I don't think this is going to be a new type, but this looks like some sort of lance, so we might get like a new lance in the Great Spear category, which would be cool. I'm totally down with that. Some gravity lance, that'd be sick. We have this weapon here that the Tarnish uses, this shield like spear thing, and it really reminds me of like if it was a paired weapon, right? Like, I'm sure this is two weapons in one, and we're getting this twin blade with the Crucible Knight wing. You know, I'm positive that's some kind of like some Astral on the twin blade itself. I don't think that this is a paired weapon, but if the daggers are dual daggers and they're throwing them, and those swords that we saw earlier have a unique moveset, I'm gonna take a wild guess that we're getting paired weapons. These weapons might be legendary weapons that you can get, just kind of how like we have the ones in the game now, like Moonveil, Rivers of Blood, Sword Knight and Flame, etc., right? But I have a feeling that we're gonna get paired weapons back, and I think since this was there in Dark Souls 3, they say they're adding weapon classes. I do think that a paired weapon class is going to be something that covers a lot of ground. We're getting it on June 21st. I'm super excited, actually. I may not sound as hyped now because I recorded this like a day later after all the hype died down. Of course, I wanted to kind of piece together my thoughts. The biggest concern I have is PvP. I'm not going to make an entire huge 30-minute video talking about this, but we have seen nothing in the trailer that alludes to any phantoms, anything of the sort. So until we get another trailer, which we'll probably get a gameplay trailer of some sorts here soon, maybe, who knows. I mean, From Software, they do things differently. But I will be heavily disappointed if we don't get Covenants or some sort of something like that in the expansion. I really think that is a missed opportunity. Players pretty much have no reason to play multiplayer other than fun. And look, there's nothing wrong with fun, but why was this system in all their prior games, and all of a sudden it's not? Now, I know Elden Ring is not connected to Dark Souls, I get that, but that's not the point. It's still the same type of game, you know. So I think having no Covenants at all is very, very much a wasted opportunity. Now, if we get a trailer where we see more added players, that's great, but it's still not going to fix the really core issue of the game, in my opinion, with the multiplayer being very just feels like a side mode of the game, when in reality multiplayer has always been a very core part of these games. But I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm sure the patch notes we're going to get is going to be huge. It's going to be a massive patch. It's probably going to be paragraphs of patch notes, and if I find anything interesting, I'll go through that with you guys. I mean, you know, I know other channels go deeper into that stuff, but you know, hey, I don't mind giving my take on it. But besides that, I'm not gonna drone on. I think it's great. I'm excited. June 21st, I'm probably gonna end up pre-ordering it, and I would buy the collector's edition if it wasn't $268, but I'm happy with my Melania statue, so I can't really complain. Why don't you guys let me know below what you think? Seriously, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. You know, for all my watchers or those who come across my video, let's have a discussion below, what we'd like to see, what we hope we don't see, and I will see you in the next video, Tarnished.